Good afternoon, everyone. So, as you've heard from Doreen, my journey with PEDRI started towards the end of 2022, which was a series of weekly meetings of the Good Practice Standards Working Group, reviewing documents, amending and refining the standards in discussion with the working group. And it was very intense, but very exciting at the same time as it took shape. And I felt the small team were totally invested in co-designing the published standards, and that my voice was valued, it was respected, and I can actually see my ideas in the finished standards, which is a really, really nice feeling. I was also asked to join the steering group and worked on the other working groups alongside, and then later on in the programme helped to develop the PEDRI Public Advisory Group. So how and why was I involved? As you can see from my building block slide, involvement and engagement touch all aspects of the work and is central to it. And I really feel that's true in all my involvement with PEDRI. And as I worked, I considered all the time the tone and the meaning of the language we were using in the standards. It had to be accessible for everyone. And I asked the who, how, why, what questions from a public perspective, and probably was a bit of a pain along the way. But the public need to see how the standards shape, change and improve involvement and engagement. And I imagined that the standards were going to enable the public to be more informed and more valued. So, why is public involvement and engagement central to PEDRI and data research? Because for me, behind every piece of data is a life and a person. Data belongs to the public, and they know through their many different types of lived experiences, patients, caregivers, family members, parents and friends, what changes and improvements would help them and the people who come along after them in the future. But we have to remember that data can be a mystery, it can be scary, and trust and privacy issues can cause barriers for the public to be involved, and it can all seem so far removed from their daily lives and definitely from their comfort zone. I hope the standards can help the public to share lived experience and be heard and valued and have impact in data research because they are a vital part of it. Anyone can choose to adopt the good practice standards, but what does this mean for the public wanting to get involved with their work? When organisations or teams adopt the standards, what differences will the public see? How will involvement and engagement be improved for them? So before getting involved or engaged with data research, I thought about the questions that they might want to ask, and I came up with things such as, how can their lived experience and opinions improve data research? How will they be supported and know they've made a difference? How will they be fully informed and involved in every part of the process? And what can they expect from organisations who adopt the standards? So, how can PEDRI answer these questions? What could help the public make more informed choices? And can PEDRI create something just for them? And that stuck with me, and I really thought about that. And for people who like images, I thought about it as a really healthy tree. So the soil and the nutrients are PEDRI, the tree are the standards, and the branches are what I'm going to tell you about next. So I'm incredibly excited and immensely proud to announce the launch of the PEDRI Pledge, which I've been working on alongside the standards since 2023. The PEDRI Pledge is a public-facing explanation of the good practice standards and what it can mean in practice for the public when they get involved and engaged in data research. As part of the development, we've tried to create 7 short phrases in plain language to be inclusive and accessible for all and aligned to the 7 good practice standards. We've consulted with the PEDRI working groups and the PEDRI Public Advisory Group, and we've consulted with HDI UK staff and the Public Advisory Board. So, here are the PEDRI pledges. I'm not going to read them out, but I'm sure if you want to take photographs, that's absolutely fine. So as I say, we tried really hard to make them in accessible, plain language. Organisations and teams can agree to make a commitment alongside the standards directly to the public by signing up to the pledge. And when you sign up, you receive a mini toolkit on how to promote them via your own website and networks, a pledge sticker, a virtual sticker for your materials and your documents. And PEDRI will add your name and your logo to the pledge page on the PEDRI website. There's definitely too many P's in this talk. And we will promote your pledge via the PEDRI networks. PEDRI will monitor commitments to the pledge on an annual basis, and this will align with the evaluation template for the Good Practice Standards. So finally, for more information about the pledge, you can access in the usual ways via the QR code or via the website address. And also, if you've got questions, you can contact the PEDRI team. And finally from me, I'd just like to say thank you for everybody in PEDRI for making my journey so exciting and so enjoyable. And I'd especially like to thank Katie for her patience while we refined and finalised the pledges. Thank you.